Zettelkasten. New project. What gets zettled? There's one thing in life that really irritates me, and that is when a noun is verbed or a verb is nouned and it shouldn't be, and I've just gone and done it. I've said that something gets zettled. Anyways, my name is Persohn. I'm glad you've come to visit with me today. We're talking about Zettelkasten again, and we've hopped into our new project, and I'm starting to document it. And so I've said to you, I will pass on my lessons to you, the things I've thought about. Maybe they will help you, and whatever. Really, this is not me sitting on an ivory tower pontificating about how you should document things or how a second brain should work. This is me letting you know what's working for me, and maybe it will help you draw a line in the sand and to say, yes, if I could have a second brain thing, that would be very useful. In business today, there are a lot of things to learn. You've got to learn IT things, you've got to learn finance things, you've got to learn legal things, you have to learn and learn and learn. Then you start on a new project and you think, oh man, there's just so much. So I've got 2 or 3 new projects starting in the next little while, and I've decided that I'm going to use a Zettelkasten approach to provide a second brain for myself and to ultimately then become a documentation model, so I can then document using that same thing. Because really a Zettelkasten approach is a lot like a Wikipedia model where you have backlinks and so on and so forth. So what is Zettelkasten? The Zettel comes from the German word card, cast from box. And essentially it means a card in a box. But it's more than just every time you have something that create a card and drop it in a box. No, these cards have a way of working together. That's what makes this special. So as I began my new project, the first thing I had to do was say, what needs to be zettled? Don't like that. Why did I do that? What needs to be put in a Zettelkasten method and what is just list material? Things like phone numbers of staff members and where they work, that's just list material. That's just stuff that you have and you can stick it on a wall and say, okay, this guy works here, this is his number, this is and whatever. Because there are people that you might meet that you actually never relate with from a project point of view or a business point of view, but you don't want to not know their names in the hallway. And sometimes you have to know that maybe there's 2 people named Jill, and you got to know which Jill it is that you're dealing with, because whatever. So there are reasons. There's of course things like building layouts and all that, probably not that important, whatever. But the one area where I've seen this is a perfect place for Zettelkasten is department responsibilities. So my first card, which I will show you, I think I need to put my glasses on just to do this and hope the camera works. Let's just bring that up here. Yes, the first card I numbered 20230203C. Now why did I do that? Well, because in that day there'd already been an A and a B. The problem I faced was this. When I got to documenting my work, I was off-site. I was away from my earlier 2 cards. I didn't remember the letter that was there, right? And I thought, So here was the first thing I learned. During the day, if I carry my cards with me and I do something, I will just put the day on, and I'll not put the letter on unless I know it. Okay, if I've got the cards with me, that's fine. Why do I do this? And we've talked about this in the past, but I believe this is really valuable. In all of my cards, there's only one card, no matter what topic, that has this number. There's only one. And so there's never 2 with the same number. They never overlap. That's really important. It's the UID. In data, we call that the unique identifier. Okay, it's only one. All right. And so if one topic is theology, the next one is fasting. Another is project 1, project 2, project 3, or general knowledge. Doesn't matter. They all have a unique number. I think you should think about that. I think that's very important. Even if you're doing your noting, try to give every note item a unique number. You might find that's interesting. How do I build my unique numbers? Year, month, day, alpha. Okay, so 2023, 02, 03, that's the 3rd of February, 2023. Okay, A, B, C, or D. So this was the first thing that I did. I knew that I had to group my department. So let's just pop this up here. This is the bridge card. The moment I knew it, I built a bridging card. What's a bridging card do? It forms the center of a node and it joins them together. Pardon my scratching. You should be able to read that. It says departments grouped. And you notice that I have a department line there. That line, if you didn't make it out, is not C, it's D. So the card number that I just showed you was 20230203C. I'm referencing a card called 20230203D. I'm referencing a different card than this one. Now, this is the card that I've got here for the company, but I can't show you that one, okay? So this is a bogus card that I'm sacrificing just for this discussion. So let's put it up in front of the screen and let's see what I've done with it. It has got a number that is unique to itself. D, is that focused? It's, yeah, right? And it says on the top, and I should probably scan these and drop it into a PowerPoint for my next discussion, but we'll have more departments there by then. It'll make more sense. It says assembly and packaging, and then it's got the name of the current manager, Lois Smith. I made all these things up, all right? All these things up. And what does her department care about? I've got a list here: line supply, procurement timing, staff rotation, pre-delivery support. So Lois Smith has to look after all of these things here: line supply, procurement, so on. And those are her department responsibilities. Now, it took a bit of time to understand the business and then to contact Lois Smith and to show her a list of all activities that I'm responsible for, that I'm trying to work on, and say, which of these are yours? Because it's not immediately obvious. So this is a link that I have, okay? Now, what else have I done with this card? And this is something for you to think about. If the card has an arrow, right, down here, can you see that arrow down here, right? On the side, that tells me that it is referencing a bridge. It's referencing a bridge or another card, typically a bridge. That's what I do so far. I think that works. Now, that's the reason I do that is because I have some unclassified cards in the system that don't have bridges yet. So I can go through and say that's fine. And what does it say on the other side of the card? Now, remember that this card was 20230203D. So it's got to reference a bridge, which could be any other number. And I've put the number of the bridge right down here. I put it at the bottom, and I might move it to the top later on. I'm not sure. But that simply says that. Now, what will happen with the next department? So maybe the next department, let's see if I can make something up here. Assembly and packaging would be shipping and delivery. That would make sense, wouldn't it, if in a manufacturing company? Well, the shipping and delivery department will get a card that follows this. It will be along the way. And it will reference the bridge as well, and it might reference this other one, but it won't need to because the bridge will join those two. You see, we're building a series of nodes, okay? Now, I would anticipate that these departments here are going to interrelate across the board, and this is where the business becomes really complicated, okay? And that's these levels of complexity. So in time, I'm going to find out, let's just have a little look at this one here. Look at my line, staff rotation. Aha, staff rotation, there's another department called HR and payroll. Sometimes it's the same department, sometimes it's not, okay? But let's say in this case, it's HR and payroll. Ha, HR and payroll has one of its obligations, one of the things it has to do is provide staffing for the assembly and packaging department. So I now put a link at HR and payroll across to here. Bam, I've got that. Now, I might have this in my mind. You're at these companies long enough and you know what's going on. You've memorized all of those things. But when I get to documenting it, I might have either forgotten the subtleties or the documenter might find this very, very useful. Plus, that link between staff rotation in the one card and HR and payroll might go via something else. It's like, this is very important, perhaps data access or safety or whatever. And then you say, aha, this is why this problem always occurs. Because you see, the reason we get these projects is usually something new has to happen, or typically we've got to improve efficiency, or we've got to do some analysis or something like it. Now, no one ever brings a consultant on board because they want to reduce efficiency or because they want to obscure data. Well, maybe that, I don't know in these days. But typically, you have to get to better KPIs. You've got to improve delivery, you've got to improve time, and so on. So in order to do that, all these things need to be in one place. Ultimately, once the nodes are all built and once it's all laid out, I can start joining those nodes with, for example, colored lines. And those colored lines might indicate something like this node is these relationships are performing optimally and there's no way I can improve it. Or that might be a green line, or maybe an amber line that says, oh, we could tweak it, or a red line that says, oh, this one needs to be shot and fixed and resurrected. Okay, so this has been a dive, not a terribly deep dive, but a very important one into the Zettelkasten new project. How are we doing this? What are we putting into Zettelkasten? And what are we just leaving with notes, spreadsheets, or whatever? Now, of course, again, there's some of those things are just going to appear on my phone. I won't need to look up someone's phone number or whatever. Technology will do that. But some of this other stuff, oh no. That's why we need the second brain to accommodate that data and to help us to do that, to keep our stress low and our ability to be productive high. This has been Zettelkasten, new project. What gets zettled? Why did I do that? My name is Persohn. Come back again in 2 weeks for a follow-up.